Successful business owners know what it takes to build businesses, often hyper-focused on executing day-to-day, especially in this environment. But sooner or later, you want to reap the value you created in building your business. And in order to maximize that, there may be some steps you need to take now to grow or prepare well ahead of when you plan on retiring, selling, or passing on your business to family in some shape or form. Patrick Yan is Senior Private Banker with TD Wealth Family Office, and Jeff Halpern is Business Succession Advisor, both with TD Wealth. And it is lovely to have you both here.
Thanks for having us, Kim.
It is a pleasure. Patrick, I want to start with you, and I love this analogy. You talk about the fact that you see yourself as a quarterback for your clients. Explain that a bit.
Yeah, like I think at TD Wealth, the private banker really is a quarterback of the wealth relationship. And in a way, we see the full field. So we know the financial plan, we know what's important to the clients. And based on that relationship with the client, we're able to bring other specialists to the table for the client. So.
And it's interesting too, we'll get to the specialists, that's why Jeff is here, so we can talk about some of the things that are brought in. But part of this, I know when you and I were talking, was about a lot of business owners are so busy doing everything, controlling everything. And part of your role, I know you talked, was helping them understand maybe that maybe they have too much control and they should delegate.
Sure, like I think delegation is key in any business, and I think our business owners have done such a good job building the business up from the ground up, and they're so involved in all aspects of the business, and they know it probably the best on the street. We just want to come in and say, hey, we understand your business, we understand what's important to you, and we could build a team around you that will allow you to delegate some of this planning for your personal finances around to other people at the bank. So.
And what have you found? Because I think you gave me some great examples of when, these are very successful people, do delegate. What do you give them that's valuable?
I think in a way we're able to give them confidence to do what they want to do personally along with their families, and let them know it's okay. It's okay to, upgrade your car, to upgrade your house, you're in a good situation to kind of do that, right? And I think as bankers, we're able to give our clients a confidence to take that next step. So
I think that's probably, people just want that, you talk about slush fund, right? Just in case the business needs it, but it's like, listen, you've got the space, you can do this over here instead.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's important for the clients to understand that in delegation, we're able to step up and be that, I'll call it a family CFO, where they're reaching out to us and they're like, hey, we're looking to get our son a new car. How's this going to work out? What's the best way to structure this? And we're able to answer those questions. And those are simple questions, but it leads to those complex questions as well. So,
well, let's talk about some of the complex questions. And that's where you bring in some of your bench strength, I'll say, in terms of people coming in. And Jeff, being on the business succession side, you work with clients of Patrick's and many others, business owners, and you help them think about long-term planning. And so maybe I'll just pause there for a minute. What are the most important things that a business owner needs to think about in the long term?
In the long term, firstly, is getting advice from someone you can trust. Secondly, it's having the time frame to do the planning so you can actually affect the bottom line. And the bottom line is not just about dollars and cents, but also about family harmony. If you do the planning in advance, not only will you be able to get the best outcome from the sale of the business or the transfer of the business within the family, but you'll also have family harmony, and that's a really important outcome.
And I think, from our, you have so many stories. You talk about how, some of the things that you need to do to either maximize value or maximize family harmony. These are decisions that need to be taken many years in advance to prepare for those types of things. Can you give me some examples?
Absolutely. A lot of people think only around the tax when it comes to planning for the sale of a business. But if you understand the value metrics of a business, like what really determines the value of a business, maybe you will alter your management strategy because you've had enough time to understand that. For example, if you think about all the businesses in Canada and you put them into a pyramid, you'd notice that it's at the top of the pyramid, the profitability of the businesses is much larger than the profitability of the average business in Canada. The average business in Canada makes a living for the owner, but it's not really a top-notch big tier business. So if somebody understands that the people at the top of the pyramid get a higher multiple of value for the sale of their business versus the people at the lower end of the pyramid, maybe they can make acquisitions or grow their business internationally during their lifetime to push their business value up to the higher element of the pyramid, where the multiple may be much larger when they exit.
And again, those things take time.
They take time.
And strategy and planning and those types of
And a
things
good
too.
banker.
And a good banker, yes. Well, let's get back to Patrick on that too, because part of this I know is that, you know, when you're working with clients, I mean, you ask a lot of questions to help them understand about, you know, how they got to where they are, but what they're thinking about and value in the long term.
Right. And I think that's the best part of my job. The first question I always lead with when I meet with a client is, how did you build this incredible business, right? And based on that answer, I think as bankers, we usually draw out what's important to the client in terms of value, risk tolerance, and future succession planning. So on top of that, I usually like to ask, hey, do you have family members looking to come over and be involved with the business? What's the timeline for this? What's it look like when this transaction actually happens? Is it a long-term transaction, or are you just selling the business and walking away? And I think when you're asking these questions, it allows the business owner to think about them as well, because sometimes they don't, right? And they need to hear what other business owners have gone through to kind of understand that might be something they got to think about.
And I think that's the great thing, is that that's what, you know, you've talked to
Right.
so many business owners, you've got the wisdom of crowds, so to speak, to bring this to the clients who they want to talk about this as well.
Absolutely. And listen, like I said, best part of my job is working with business owners, and we just see so much, and we see situations come up along with Jeff last minute, pre-planning, and just stuff that the usual business owner wouldn't think of. So along with our experience, I think we could provide that value to the clients.
Another one I'd throw at you, Jeff, as well, is when, you know, if you're thinking about selling the business as an ultimate goal, you talked about ways, of course, to, you know, from a metric standpoint, to get more of the valuation as it goes up. But part of this is also the network of, you know, when you want to find a buyer, there's experience in where the buyers are.
Great point, Kim. Some businesses have a concentration of risk in one customer. The multiple of value that someone who is going to buy that company would pay is much smaller than a business that has a diversified customer base, as an example. Another business may be very reliant on the owner because he's got all the customer relationships. You've got to be able to transfer that to the buyer somehow. And so we work with families who have figured out how to do that, and we share those kinds of practices with our clients who we meet with.
When you and I were chatting too, that great example of someone maybe older, the founder establishing a business, trying to have someone younger come in, but again, the equity all is with the previous owner. You got to figure out how that's going to work and their involvement over time and to plan for that.
So we act a bit as a facilitator to educate the owner as well as the potential buyer in terms of what the value would be in a fact pattern like that, and also how the owner has to remain with the business to add the value to the buyer until the buyer is able to run on his own.
Patrick, how would you talk to someone maybe who's listening going, that's great, I'm not big enough yet to get this kind of counsel? How would you respond to that?
We want to work with our business owners early. We want to build trust with them. We want to be a team member on their roster. And yeah, we want to be there for the long term and help them and bring our specialists to the table for them. So,
well, thank you very much, Patrick and Jeff. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
thank you.